Yo, 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 yo. I'm here to talk about when things don't go your way. Like right now, there's a line of cars in front of me. Actually, they're a line of cars in front of me. I would love to go fast, but I can't. I know over the past couple of years, things just haven't been going well for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people are paycheck to paycheck. They can't make rent. They're working their ass off in order to just get by the bare minimum. And for the longest time, I wasn't one of those people. I worked my ass off in college, pursued finance, and fell into an investment role that was very lucrative, but didn't enjoy the people that I was working with. And so naturally there's just a distancing that occurs over, you know, the subsequent 6 months. Anyways, I got let go from that dream job scenario, which ended up not really being a dream job. It just was more or less the same of what I was doing before. And I think that's why people say the grass isn't always greener. But I'm here to tell you the grass is sometimes greener. Before I moved to Oregon, which I've only been here for half a year, I was living in Austin, Texas, which a lot of people might think is a fun place to go and live, and you know, a lot of people go in there and visit, but I think I had high expectations for that city, which is always not a good move because you're just setting yourself up for failure when those expectations are not met. Similar to the prior job I had, I thought I was going to be bankrolling all this money, and come to find out I was underpaid compared to the market, yada yada yada. All that to say, I finally was eventually let go from that position with no warning, nothing. Right before Christmas, it's very difficult to, you know, no one's hiring for my line of work around that time. So they really jammed me, and on top of that, they didn't end up paying me a bonus, which is half my comp. So they really started to fuck with my livelihood a little bit. Instead of curling up in a ball in the fetal position and feeling bad for myself, which, don't get me wrong, well, that was a bad downshift. Don't get me wrong, I did that. I had to move back in with my dad, even though I had, you know, money saved away. I just didn't want to touch it because it was in my 401k investments, and I just wasn't really liquid at the time. So I swallowed my pride. You know, I had this great job, and then, you know, a couple months later, I'm back living with my dad, and it all works out beautifully when life presents you with those situations. I'm really glad I had that time with him. But as I was saying earlier, I didn't just curl up in a fetal ball, smoke weed every day, and be a victim of my circumstances. You can make your own circumstances. Thoughts become things. It even extends itself to motorcycle riding. If you think you're gonna fall and get in an accident, well, guess what? Your mind is wired to find a way to make that outcome happen. So instead of moping around and all that, I got to work. You know, I started taking interviews on a daily basis, which is a very hard process, fatiguing thing to do. You know, always being on top of your shit, sounding smart, all that stuff. It's a lot. And there were a few opportunities at the end. I got basically 2 opportunities, one in crypto, which I've always had an interest in, and then one was kind of the exact line of work I was doing back in Texas, just repackaged with people in a different state. So it was essentially the universe telling me, do you want to do more of the same, or do you want to enter this door and see what's behind door number 2? And the way that I like to think about these opportunities in life is there's always doors being shut on us. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not qualified. Whenever there's an opportunity and a door gets shut, just keep in mind there's always plenty of other doors to walk through. I call it the yellow door scenario of there's a red door that shuts on you. Well, guess what? There's a yellow door with even more abundance and more opportunity than you could ever even imagine But if you're so stuck on, oh, it's got to be this way, and you know, I only have to join this company, you're gonna miss those yellow doors. Oregon for me was a yellow door. I mean, just look at this place. I get to ride my motorcycle next to this beautiful scenery, some of the best roads, instead of boring old Texas where everyone's just flying down the freeway and, you know, there's not much to look at. So many things opened up for me by making this change. And the new job afforded me to make that change because it's a remote job. But the moral of my story is, if you just become a victim of your situation and let that dictate the rest of your life, even for just a short amount of time, it'll snowball effect, rewire your brain to think that way, and then you're gonna have to do all of that rewiring software in your brain, which takes so much time, so much effort, and money if you're gonna talk about therapy and all that other stuff, which I definitely don't recommend therapy for everyone. I was of the camp of therapy is a waste, but I found a good match for me. It's more of a holistic approach. So that really worked out for me. I'm no longer doing it because I got from it what I needed at the time. And I think that's with a lot of things in life, you know, like getting fired from that job that was a dream job for me was a lesson within itself and an experience that I was privileged to have. I'm happy that it occurred that way, because now I know the signs to look for. Now I know exactly, I no longer have my rose-colored glasses on, which I think a lot of people who, you know, are just generally good people, they don't ask for much. They're just hoping someone will take care of them. And I had that same mindset, and it just never came into fruition. But instead of going down the tried and true path of, oh, I've done this, I know I'm gonna make this amount of money, I didn't really like the people I was working with, I took a bet on myself and said, let's try out this path. And it might not be as lucrative from the jump, but over the course of the next 10-20 years, I believe aligning myself with what I'm passionate about, still making good money, is a win-win scenario for me. And so I just wanted to put that message out into the world of, when things are going bad, you lose your job. I mean, there was times where, you know, I had so much money in the bank, and now all of a sudden I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm in colossal amounts of debt, financially crippling myself. But if you keep pushing through, the universe recognizes that effort and will reward you. And the shitty thing about the universe is that there's no set time frame for that. It could happen in a matter of days, weeks, months, years. This Oregon example, I think, was over the course of a year or so, knowing that I wanted to change, knowing I wasn't happy with my current situation. I hadn't even thought about living here, to be honest. I've never thought in my entire life that I would live in Oregon. But if you're open to opportunities, which luck is just preparation meeting opportunity, we all know that, you'll find yourself in a much different situation, and it goes quick. I was severely depressed, you know, when I was unemployed, feeling like a loser and all this stuff, because I had this resume that I thought was impressive, but, you know, even getting part-time jobs was challenging for me, and it was a little bit of a wake-up call of, you're not hot shit, you're not, you know, drop your ego. So now I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that come to me. I think things are going to get better over the course of this next year for a lot of people, and I'm hoping that we start to see that reflected on everyone's faces, because you can see people and how they carry themselves. Today, people just look really sad, depressed, tired, worked. I mean, just work by itself is exhausting, but you add a family onto that, you add any other responsibilities, you're trying to make your way out of the hole you might have dug yourself. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm spinning up a bunch of businesses, so I'm still not just sitting, idling by. I'm trying to make things work, and I'm never giving up. And I think we all know giving up is taking the easy way out. There's a really good image of a man with a pickaxe. A lot of you have probably seen this, and he's just about to strike gold. And before he strikes gold, he gives up. And I hope with everything that I've just said, that it inspires some people to keep going, even if they aren't being recognized, even if it doesn't, if it's not materializing in your bank account. Your efforts will be rewarded. It just comes in very odd, unique, mysterious ways. And the more you start to get in tune with looking for those opportunities and not forcing those opportunities, but almost surrendering to, hey, I have an idea of where I want to go, and then guess what? You keep that idea in your head, you have that burning desire, and the universe takes care of the rest. That is just how we're wired. I know some of you might disagree with me on that, but I think I'm living proof of you know, changing your thoughts and your thoughts becoming things. I didn't think I was gonna graduate high school, college. I wasn't going to go to college. I wanted to be a firefighter because that's what my parents said to me was, hey, you should do something maybe not so scholarly, I think is how they put it. And I was with them, you know. I was like, why? I never had interest in school. But then I found my passion. And by the way, I had teachers all throughout. I'm sure everyone's had teachers like this that just put you down, tell you you're not going to amount to anything. Maybe it's your parents. My parents did the same thing to me. And they really just beat you down. But there is so much reward in proving people wrong and being that silent killer. You know, when no one's looking, what work are you putting in? And you don't care about any of the glory that comes from it. You're doing it because it makes you happy and it fulfills you. So I think that mental model of just reframing your thoughts, you know, and it can be as simple as just not using the word no, or, you know, a negative in front of a, you know, something you're about to say, even if it could be the lightest thing. But your mind attaches onto those things, starts to rewire your framework. Really challenging to unlearn those behaviors. And I'll be honest with you guys, I did a whole bunch of psychedelics, and that's why I talk the way I talk now and all that. But that completely changed my life. But I would say that was really the impetus and starting point of rethinking all of my old mental models, what I've been taught by my parents about, oh, if you're not married by 25, you know, you're not on the right track. And there's all these pressures from generations that are so archaic now, and I think that the younger generations really are a little bit more progressive and forward thinking, and so as years go on, that thinking will continue to decrease, and the feelings of positivity will start to take over. You know, instead of using the words or the phrase, you know, not having a war, you're even saying war in that phrase. The opposite is peace. Peace is love. So I hope that helps some people who might be going through it right now. I felt like I was going through it for the past kind of 6 months to a year. having a little bit of an identity crisis, and you know, having to kind of pick up all the pieces that maybe I created, maybe I didn't, but it's neither here nor there. You can't sulk in the past, and you just have to move forward. And when you do that, really amazing things happen. Organ appears. I live on a house overlooking the beach for less than I was paying in Austin, Texas. Who would have thought? There's so many opportunities out there that if we're just blinded by our negative thinking, we're never gonna see. So I encourage everyone to, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you have 17 seconds to reframe your mind and think about. So instead of reaching for your phone and looking at the news, which is just plagued with negativity and not great stuff, think to yourself, how do I want my day to be? Who am I? I think Matthew McConaughey does a version of this where, you know, the first couple minutes of his day, he checks in with himself before he checks in with the world. And that always resonated with me. But I think it's living proof. You know, like I said earlier, I wasn't going to go to college, but then I found my passion. I knew I wanted to do finance, get into investments, all that cool stuff, because I wanted to make money. That's what you know, that was the bar of success to my parents. And also I wanted the freedom of having that money, but you'll quickly find yourself unhappy trying to appease other people's thoughts, opinions, views, you name it, ideologies. You need to find out what always works for you. And I'm not saying go through your life being positive. I mean, that's kind of what I do. I'm just always got a smile on my face, and whenever I talk to people, I try to brighten up their day, because I've been there and I know how much people can brighten up my day. And so I'm just trying to reverberate that as much as I can. But I'm not saying you need to go through life and say, you know, everything's sunshine and butterflies, because it's straight up not. But there's different ways to think about things and prioritize, you know, what should matter versus what doesn't matter, and that gets into the whole kind of stoicism debate. But TLDR, if you can't do any of that, just fucking buy a motorcycle. This is the best therapy I can recommend to anyone, you know, women included. There's something about getting on two wheels, not being in a car like everyone else. You know, you feel a little bit different. It's definitely not the safest thing, but you feel like you're living life. And when you're riding things like a motorcycle, or you got no like music going in the car and you can just go on long drives and think, you actually turn off your monkey brain and you let, you know, your real higher self get to you. And that's where all the good shit comes from, of should I do this, should I be with this person, and all that. So get a motorcycle, hands down.